My name is John. I live alone in a small apartment. My apartment is quiet. Sometimes it is too quiet. I have a job. Every day, I go to work. After work, I come home. I eat dinner, watch TV, and then go to bed. My life is the same every day. It is simple, but it feels a little lonely. One day, I had an idea. I thought I need a friend, but I did not want a roommate. I did not want another person living with me. I wanted something different. I wanted a pet. A pet is a good friend. A pet is always there for you. A pet makes your home feel happy. I thought about what kind of pet I wanted. I thought about getting a fish, but a fish cannot play with you. Then I thought about a bird, but a bird is hard to take care of. Finally, I decided I wanted a dog or a cat. A dog or a cat would be the perfect friend for me. The next day after work, I decided to visit the animal shelter. The animal shelter is a place where animals live when they do not have a home. People go to the shelter to adopt pets. These pets need new homes and people to care for them. I was excited, but I was also a little nervous. I had never had a pet before. I did not know what to expect. When I arrived at the shelter, I was greeted by a friendly lady. She smiled at me and said, "Hello. Are you here to adopt a pet?" "Yes," I said. "I want a friend. I want to adopt a pet." "That's wonderful," she said with a big smile. "We have many animals here that need a home. Let me show you around." We walked through the shelter together. There were many animals to see. I saw dogs, cats, rabbits, and even some birds. Each animal had its own little space. The dogs were in kennels, and the cats were in cages. The rabbits had small pens, and the birds were in big cages. There were many sounds in the shelter. The dogs barked, the cats meowed, and the birds chirped. The shelter was full of life. As I walked through the rows of kennels, one dog caught my eye. He was a small, brown dog with big, round eyes. His eyes were bright, and he looked at me with curiosity. His tail was wagging back and forth. He seemed very happy to see me. I stopped in front of his kennel and kneeled down to get a better look. "Hello, little dog," I said softly. The dog barked gently and wagged his tail even faster. He came closer to the front of the kennel and licked my hand through the bars. I could tell he was a friendly dog. I liked him right away. "This is Max," the lady said. "He is about 2 years old. He is very friendly and loves to play. He is a good dog." I smiled at Max. He looked so happy and full of energy. I could see that he wanted to be my friend. "Hi, Max," I said. "You are a good dog." As I was petting Max, I noticed a cat in the next cage. The cat was very different from Max. She was white with black spots, and she had beautiful green eyes. The cat was calm and quiet. She did not come to the front of the cage like Max did. She just sat there and looked at me. "This is Bella," the lady said. "She is a very calm cat. She is about 3 years old. She likes to relax and sit in the sun. She is a gentle cat, but she is a little shy." I looked at Bella. She was very different from Max. Max was full of energy, and Bella was calm and peaceful. I liked both of them, but I could only choose one. I stood there for a while, thinking about which pet to take home. Which one should I choose? I asked myself. It was a hard decision. Both Max and Bella seemed like good pets. Max was playful and happy, and Bella was calm and gentle. I liked Max's energy, but I also liked Bella's calmness. The lady noticed that I was having a hard time deciding. She smiled at me and said, "Take your time. It is a big decision. You want to choose the pet that is right for you." I thought about my life. I live in a small apartment, and I work long hours. Maybe a calm pet would be better for me. But I also wanted a pet that would keep me company and make me feel happy when I came home from work. After thinking for a long time, I finally made my decision. "I will adopt Max," I said with a smile. "I think Max will be a good friend for me." The lady smiled and said, "That is a great choice. Max will be very happy with you." I felt happy too. I filled out the adoption papers, and soon Max was mine. I put a leash on him, and we left the shelter together. I was excited to bring Max home. I knew my life was about to change. The first night with Max was both exciting and challenging. When we got home, Max was very curious. He ran around the apartment, sniffing everything. He wanted to explore his new home. He sniffed the furniture, the floor, and even the walls. Everything was new to him. I watched him and smiled. It was fun to see him so excited. "Welcome home, Max," I said. Max looked at me and wagged his tail. He seemed happy to be in his new home. I was happy too. I knew Max and I were going to be good friends. But soon, I realized that having a dog was more work than I had expected. Max was full of energy, and he wanted to play all the time. He brought me his toys, dropped them at my feet, and barked. He wanted me to play with him. I was tired after a long day at work, but Max was not tired at all. He wanted to play more and more. At first, it was fun to play with Max. We played fetch in the living room. I threw the ball, and Max ran after it. He brought the ball back to me, and I threw it again. We did this over and over. Max was very fast, and he loved chasing the ball. I laughed as I watched him run. It was fun to see him so happy, but after a while, I started to feel tired. I had worked all day, and now I just wanted to relax. I wanted to sit on the couch and watch TV. But Max did not want to stop playing. He kept bringing me the ball, dropping it at my feet, and barking. He wanted to keep playing. "Okay, Max, let's take a break," I said. I sat down on the couch, hoping Max would calm down. But Max did not want to take a break. He jumped up onto the couch and started licking my face. I laughed and petted him, but I also started to wonder how I was going to keep up with his energy. That night, when it was time to go to bed, I made a little bed for Max in the corner of my bedroom. I thought he would be happy to have his own space to sleep. I put a soft blanket and a pillow in the corner and showed it to Max. "This is your bed, Max," I said. "You can sleep here." But Max did not want to sleep in his bed. As soon as I turned off the lights, Max started barking. He did not want to sleep alone in the corner. He wanted to sleep on my bed with me. I tried to ignore the barking, hoping he would settle down, but Max kept barking and scratching at the side of my bed. I did not want to disturb my neighbors, so I gave in and let him sleep on the bed with me. Max was very happy. He jumped onto the bed and curled up next to me. Within minutes, he was asleep, but I found it hard to sleep. Max took up more space than I expected, and he kept moving around during the night. I kept waking up, feeling him push against me or hearing him snore softly. By the time morning came, I was exhausted. I had hardly slept at all, but Max was full of energy again. He was ready to start the day. He jumped off the bed and barked, ready for his morning walk. I quickly realized that having a dog meant changing my routine. I had to wake up earlier to take Max outside for a walk before going to work. I had to make sure he had food and water, and I had to find time to play with him, even when I was tired. My mornings were no longer quiet and slow. They were busy, and I had to keep up with Max's energy. After work, it was the same. Instead of relaxing on the couch, I had to take Max outside again for his evening walk. We walked around the block, and sometimes we went to the park. Max loved being outside, and I could see how happy it made him. But it was a big change for me. I was not used to having so many responsibilities. I started to wonder if I had made the right decision. Maybe I am not ready for a dog, I thought to myself. This is harder than I expected. I was tired, and I missed my old routine. I missed having time to relax after work. But I also knew that Max depended on me. I was his owner, and it was my job to take care of him. One weekend, I decided to take Max to the park for a longer walk. It was a sunny Saturday morning, and I thought it would be nice to spend some time outside. The park was about a 10-minute walk from my apartment. It was a large, green space with trees, benches, and a big open area where people could play sports or have picnics. When we arrived at the park, Max was very excited. His tail wagged quickly, and he pulled on the leash, eager to run and explore. Okay, slow down, I said, laughing as I tried to keep up with him. When we reached a quieter area of the park, I found a spot where I could let Max off the leash. I wanted to see how he would do without being tied to me. As soon as I unclipped the leash, Max took off. He ran across the grass, chasing birds and sniffing everything he could find. I watched him with a smile. He looked so happy and free. It was the first time I had seen him like this, and it made me realize how much he enjoyed being outside. I found a bench and sat down, watching Max play. The sun was warm, and there was a light breeze. I looked around and saw other people in the park. Some were walking their dogs, others were jogging, and some were sitting on blankets, having picnics with their families. For the first time in a long while, I felt truly relaxed. The park was peaceful, and being outside in the fresh air felt good. I realized that I hadn't spent much time outdoors before I got Max. Most of my weekends were spent indoors, watching TV or reading. But now, I was outside, Enjoying the sunshine and fresh air, Max came running back to me, a stick in his mouth. He dropped it at my feet and barked, looking up at me with those big, happy eyes. "Do you want to play fetch?" I asked, picking up the stick. Max wagged his tail and barked again. I threw the stick as far as I could, and Max took off after it, running as fast as his little legs could carry him. As I watched Max run, I felt a sense of joy. I never thought that something as simple as a walk in the park could be so enjoyable. But with Max by my side, it was. He made everything feel more fun and exciting. After playing for a while, Max came back and laid down next to the bench, panting but looking very content. I petted him and said, "You're a good dog, Max." He looked up at me and wagged his tail as if to say, "Thank you." We stayed at the park for a while longer, just enjoying the day. When it was time to go home, Max was tired, but he seemed happy. As we walked back to the apartment, I felt a sense of peace. I realized that having Max was not just about taking care of him. He was also taking care of me in a way. He was getting me outside, making me more active, and bringing more joy into my life. As the days turned into weeks, Max and I settled into a new routine. I got used to waking up early to take him for a walk. I learned how to manage my time better so that I could take care of him and still have time for myself. And Max, in turn, became more comfortable in his new home. He stopped barking at night and started sleeping in his own bed, though he still liked to jump up on my bed in the morning to wake me up. One day, something unexpected happened. It was a regular weekday evening. I had just come home from work, and Max was waiting for me at the door, as usual. I took him for a walk, and then we came back home to have dinner. After dinner, I sat down on the couch to relax, and Max curled up next to me. As I was sitting there, I heard a knock on the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I was a bit surprised. I got up and opened the door to find my neighbor, Mrs. Green, standing there. She was an elderly lady who lived in the apartment next to mine. "Hello, John," she said with a smile. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." "Not at all, Mrs. Green," I replied. "How can I help you?" "Well," she said, "I noticed that you have a dog now. I've seen you walking him in the mornings and evenings. I just wanted to say that he's a lovely dog." "Thank you," I said, smiling. "His name is Max. I adopted him from the shelter a few weeks ago." "That's wonderful," she said. "You know, I used to have a dog too, but after he passed away, I didn't get another one. I miss having a dog around. They bring so much joy." I nodded, understanding how she felt. "Max has definitely brought a lot of joy into my life," I said. "I was wondering," Mrs. Green continued, "if you wouldn't mind letting me take Max for a walk sometimes. I would love the company, and it would be nice to have a reason to get outside more." I was a bit surprised by her request, but I could see that it meant a lot to her. "Of course, Mrs. Green," I said. "Max would love that. You're welcome to take him for a walk anytime." Mrs. Green's face lit up with happiness. "Thank you so much, John," she said. I'll come by tomorrow morning if that's okay with you. That sounds great, I replied. Max and I will be ready. The next morning, Mrs. Green knocked on my door bright and early. Max was excited to see her, and after a quick introduction, they set off on their walk. I watched from the window as they walked down the street together, Max trotting happily beside her. From that day on, Mrs. Green started taking Max for walks a few times a week. She was always so happy to spend time with him, and Max seemed to enjoy her company too. It made me realize how much joy Max was bringing, not just to me, but to others as well. One day, after one of their walks, Mrs. Green came to me with a small gift. I wanted to thank you for letting me spend time with Max, she said, handing me a box of homemade cookies. He's such a sweet dog, and I've really enjoyed our walks together. Thank you, Mrs. Green, I said, touched by her gesture. I'm glad Max could bring some joy into your life. He certainly has, she said with a smile. And I think he's brought some joy into yours too. I nodded, thinking about how much my life had changed since I adopted Max. He had brought so much happiness, not just to me, but to others around me as well. It was a surprise to see how one little dog could make such a big difference. As time went on, Max and I became inseparable. He was always there to greet me when I came home, his tail wagging with excitement. We had our daily routines, our walks in the morning and evening, our playtime in the park on weekends, and our quiet evenings at home. One evening, as I sat on the couch with Max lying next to me, I thought about how much my life had changed since I adopted him. At first, I had been worried about the responsibility. I wasn't sure if I could handle the demands of taking care of a dog. But now, I couldn't imagine my life without Max. He had brought so much joy and companionship into my life. I no longer felt lonely. Max was always there, ready to play, ready to go for a walk, or just ready to sit by my side and keep me company. He made my apartment feel like a home, a place filled with love and warmth. But it wasn't just the companionship that made Max special. He had also taught me important lessons about life. He taught me about responsibility, about taking care of another living being, and about the importance of routines and structure. He had also taught me to appreciate the simple things in life, like a walk in the park, a game of fetch, or just sitting quietly together. As I reflected on all of this, I realized that adopting Max was one of the best decisions I had ever made. He had brought so much happiness into my life, and I was grateful for every moment we spent together. Adopting you was the best decision I've ever made, I said softly, petting Max gently. He looked up at me with his big, brown eyes and licked my hand. I could tell he was happy too. Now, my home feels warmer, and my life feels fuller. I'm not alone anymore. I have a friend, a little companion, who makes every day a little brighter. I never expected that adopting a pet would change my life so much, but I'm glad it did. Max had not only become my pet, but also my best friend. He had brought a new perspective to my life, one filled with joy, companionship, and love. And for that, I was truly grateful.